In Arakai, there are 6 major nations. Blaze, a land where the dragon clans reign and the fiery wizards scorch the earth. Primal, a place of great nature with giant beasts and shamans to maintain the balance, with other tribes lurking just beyond the tree line. Haven, singing angels and zealot priests call this home, with the overlording celestials ruling the domain. Astral, the outer worlds of space hold many mysteries. The legendary creatures of the stars and futuristic machines dot the starscape. Tidal, the leviathans of the deep devour any who dare step into the waters. Only their neighboring fish and shelled allies can share this space, alongside the secretive wizards and creatures of water. Abyss, the decayed, rotten lands of the abyss where those who are dead often refuse to stay that way, with powerful demons seeking domination over the rest of the world. This is the Arakai Nation Breakdown. So you want to play meta, do you? Well, look no further. Haven has for quite some time been considered the strongest of the 6 nations, at least in terms of representation and splashability. In today's episode of Arakai Nation Breakdown, we're going to take a look at the spell-centered angels alongside the imposing celestials in order to explain why these angelic deities are just so powerful. So grab your religious literature of choice, because today we have some praying to do. Starting things off, we have the aforementioned angels, with their primary gimmick being discarding spells to gain varying effects. In our first set, we get to see the foundations of just such a strategy. Saphira's Attendant and Enhancing Seraph Rarnell are both level 1s that discard any spell from their hand to draw a card and either unexpend or gain a life respectively. Angel of the Holy Sword Keldon is a knight that can discard a spell to make itself 27k level 4 for a turn. Seraph of Retribution Sadas is a level 3 that can discard a spell to destroy a level 2 or lower restrained ally on the field, and Rousing Seraph Juro can discard a spell to engage any ally you control. As you can see, these 5 angels all gain their abilities from discarding any spell in the game, making them quite versatile and their effects quite decent for the simple cost. To better reinforce this, Harmony and Halo Ascension are 2 spells that can do things when discarded for your angels. Harmony adds another of itself to your hand and can be hard cast to gain 1 life, and Halo Ascension can cast itself when discarded and while on the field reduce the drawback of an ally by 1 once per turn, meaning that you have inbuilt spells that benefit from being discarded. But not all angels follow this formula. Angel of Vigilant Warfare Saphira is the boss monster of the angel class, and when it attacks, it can cast any spell from your lost area, ignoring spirit costs, and then places it on the bottom of the deck. Allowing you to essentially reuse any of your discarded spells, turning your graveyard into a spell toolbox of sorts. Angel of Gathering Light Virion gains 1000 power for every spell in your lost area, turning it into a giant late-game beatstick. Opening Diva Arya draws 2 cards and places a Haven spell on top of the deck. Playful Seraph Iranos is an interesting angel that lets you cast any spells discarded by card effects, mitigating your costs. Finally, there is Enhanced Seraph Melina, considered by many to be the strongest level 3 in standard format. 18k with 2 drawback, whenever it attacks, allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your deck and add any spell among them to your hand. This effect, on attack, means that it can be used over multiple turns for hard advantage, and on top of a good stat line, it's clear to see why almost every deck playing Haven runs this card. In conclusion, Angels as a class focus on using spells as a resource and gaining benefits from said resource, making them a very powerful strategy even when played outside of a pure Angel deck. But what else resides in the clouds? Well, Immortal Sky Deity Vikros is a 30k level 5 that blanket prevents you from taking all damage entirely, just completely. There's no damage being taken. This effect is pretty powerful in theory if you can defend it, but even if he is destroyed, his own ability mitigates your own drawback, meaning he essentially has a drawback of 0. But he isn't the only Celestial worth talking about. Energized Sentry is a level 1 with 9k power that can engage itself at the end of a turn to provide a nice blocker. Peacemaker is a level 2 that can sacrifice it to stop any attack it wants. Ophanos, Sentry of the Sanctuary, can engage itself to gain a life at the end of the turn, similar to Sentry. And Sanctuary White Ulthors lets you gain a life when the opponent attacks once per turn. Sanctuary Paladin Hurin lets you expend a spirit to engage all other allies you control at the end of the turn, and Striding Sentry draws a card when it's destroyed in any way whilst engaged. As you can see, Celestials are quite defensive in nature, focusing on engaging restrained allies and providing healing and defensive bonuses. When combined with the Perma of Vikaros, creates a strong playstyle that can be bolstered by other generic Haven cards, and their larger than average stats make up for any lack of blessing amongst their cards. But that's not all the Haven cards in the pool, there's some generically useful ones as well. Traveling Cleric of Avalon is a priest who just gains a life when invoked on a good stat line. High-class Mage Judas is another priest that, when invoked, lets you check the top 5 cards of your deck for a Haven spell and add it to your hand. Siegfried, Slayer of Avalon's Banes, just straight up destroys any level 5 when he's invoked. And Merlin lets you pitch a spell from your hand to add any spell from your lost area to your hand. Overall, the Haven allies are very good at generating resources, gaining life, and playing defensively, while adding a nice variety of utility to whatever deck they're splashed into, causing them to see widespread play into Blaze, Abyss, Primal, and Title strategies, making them very commonly played across the entire card pool. Well, what about the spells? While there's more life gain to be had, Avalon and Aura gain 1 life at the end of turns, and Purity Elixir just straight up gives you 3 life at no cost. The Sanctuary lets you discard a spell to draw a card, keep this in mind for your Iranos combos, and Tuning lets you send any spell from your deck to the Lost Area, probably so Saphira can cast it later. These cards are all pretty good, but we haven't even talked about the real cream of the crop. Perfect Defense and Last Second Interception are spells that need no introduction. Having been featured many times on the channel already, are 2 of the strongest spells in this standard card. Perfect Defense lets you negate any direct attack and draw a card, and Last Second Interception lets you redirect an attack by engaging one of your strained allies to take the hit instead. These 2 spells are staple in every single Haven deck, mixed or not, and their power cannot be understated. If you see a Haven card go into your opponent's spirit, you now have to keep these 2 spells in mind for the rest of the duel, as they can very easily throw off your attacking game plans and punish you for misplay. But if that wasn't fucking enough, this color has its very own goddamn dark hole in the form of Cleanse the Impure, which expends a spirit for every non-Haven ally in play and just straight up nukes them. But thankfully it doesn't let you attack directly the turn you fire it, because that would be completely broken. Still, even with this restriction, Cleanse being an inarguable way for Haven to come back from a bad situation is something to keep in mind, so you're not safe even if you manage to get a huge lead. Overall, Haven to me is easily the strongest nation in the standard pool. That's not to say the others are bad, but when I sit down and think of bad Haven cards, I can't really think of any that are completely useless. Even their vanilla monsters aren't any worse than the others. There's just no missing here. And if you're new to Arakai, I highly recommend Haven as your first color to get started. It's reliable, versatile, proven good, and the artwork is simply majestic. But you know what isn't majestic? Zombies. Which is what we'll be looking at next time. We've had our head in the clouds for far too long. Next time on the Arakai Nation Breakdown, I think it's time to resurrect our fallen allies and show these Celestials what true power looks like, as we take a look at Abyss. Until then, folks, I hope you enjoyed the video. Link to the Arakai TCG is down in the description below. Stop by if you're interested in the game or just want to hang out. We're a great community. But that's all for now. Goodbye.